Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's short video, we will see how we can send different messages to a queue in a service bus. So service bus, as you know, is one of the platform as a service, we can say, in Azure to handle the async messages, right? So we have event create, we have event hub, and we have service bus. Okay, and I'll cover these topics in detail in some other video. But I have posted some of the content on my website, which is my name, amarjtaylor.com. If you come here and head over to Azure section, you'll see some content in service bus related to architecture and some of the concepts in this. I'll make some separate video to cover some of these details. So let's quickly go over to our topic, which is just to send how we can send the messages, right? So it's always good to check what kind of languages and what kind of integration is supported in a system when you choose a new service. I'll refrain from using system. It's a kind of service, right? So when you choose a service, please check what kind of languages support is there. So Microsoft documentation is one of the good way to do it. We have different sections here, right? So you can go to the concepts. So if you head over to reference, it should show you different kind of languages support which are there, right? And also make sure to check with different integrations. So in this case, just the different languages help, right? You can directly use like Python language and use that from pods, use that in Databricks. But if you want some specific integrations, so before selecting a service, please make sure that is available. So in this case, I am in Python, and there are like two ways altogether how we can connect to this service, right? So one of which is you go to the SaaS signature, and there are you basically can create a new policy. By default, there's a root policy available, and if you can select even like at the send level whether we can send the messages or we can just receive the messages. But if you select manage, it means both, and doing manage your operations as well. So do not use this key, because this is at the namespace level. So I'll show you just you can go to the queue, you can create a queue at the queue level as well. You can create these policies, and please use that, because it's like principle of least privilege, right? So this is the one way. And another way, if you see here, is to use Azure Active Directory. This is mentioned as passwordless, and using this method you can use manage identity to send the messages to basically connect to your storage, to your service bus in this case. Okay, so let's go here and see what we have. So right now I'll just show the queues. So I'm in queues. I created one queue that has 0 messages in that. No partitioning is enabled here. Name is QA, and right now there are no messages. So it has also different methods that you can schedule a message. It will go to dead letter queue which are not processed, right? So we'll see that in some later videos. And right now we don't have any message, so there's an explorer too. So once we send the messages, we can see the messages here. We can use a peek mode, or we can even receive those messages so that they're like received further, like they're processed, right? But in the actual scenario in your application, there will be some receiving end, right? It can be your function, it can be a storage account which is receiving, or you are sending those messages to blob, like whatever, right? So let's go to the code and see what we have. So as I just showed that I'm using very specific basically this code block is from Microsoft, so you can get it from there, which I just showed the reference. So there are two important configuration parameters. One is the namespace connection, and this is basically coming from, if you go to your QA, I created different ones, so they are like short-lived. That's why I'm showing it here. It's not secure, but I'll just delete that, so that should be okay. So there's one at the manager level which you can see we have manage, send and listen, but you can create very specific one. So right now I'm using send one. Okay, it's QA sender, so you can just send this, and you can see also the reference here, QA sender here. And if you go to this guy here, it will show you primary and secondary key. Using that keys, it basically creates that primary and secondary endpoints. So I just copy this endpoint, and that's what you are seeing here in the connection string, and you put the queue name. So there are different methods here to basically send a single message, like so here, to send a bunch of messages, like we are sending the 5 messages here, and to send a batch of messages. So that so this is kind of like micro batching, so that you can batch messages and send it to a queue and then can process them together. So this is better, right? Because all the messages are processed once. So if you go to my run method, I'm just calling a list of messages. So basically, if I run the command, it should send 5 messages, right? So this run method is called here, right? So let's call this method, so Python send queue. Okay, so it has sent the messages, and if we come here to Explorer, all right, so there's a peak mode right here. So you're saying, okay, peak from start, says Q5, which means there are 5 messages, and these are the messages, item. So this is what we send from there. Okay, this guy here. Okay, and one way you can basically read these messages is to use the actual application, but in this case I'll just use a receive mode that we have, and that way if you click here, it will ask you what you want to do. Do you want to do a peak lock, or you want to receive and delete? So I'll say, okay, I want to receive and delete these messages. So let's hit that, and it should be deleted. Yeah, so you can see that messages, there are no messages, they are processed. So yeah, so that was it. It's a short video. Thanks a lot for watching. In the next videos we're going to cover some more topics as well. Thank you, and have a nice day.